My name's Pete Woods, you're watching Hexham TV. Who are you?
I'm Karen MacDougall. I'm an artist and a creative producer, and I have created this wonderful project, Frontier Voices, which is on display at the Sill until the 31st of January. Do come.
So tell us a little bit about your background first, Karen.
Well, way back, I originally trained as an architect, but I think even then the die was cast that I was going to end up working in a much more, perhaps it's wrong to say creative way, because architects are very creative, but to work more as an artist. And gradually I became more and more pulled into projects that sometimes used my architectural roots, sometimes didn't, as I worked with communities and created projects, some of which are still in place, some are permanent. For example, there's a park in Penrith where there's 4 sculptures and eight banners are still there. But this project's been amazing. It was originally conceived because of the Hadrian's Wall being 1900 this year. And so the idea was to get frontier voices, people who were here in Roman times, hearing what they said or what we know about them, and also the people who are now the visitors, the school children, the scouts, the brownies, and the walkers, and then the people who help out along the wall as well, the volunteers, and to work with them and collect their thoughts on the wall and make a series of artistic interpretations of that. And in a way, being here at the Sill is another art installation where all the pieces from all the projects have come together. I suppose I should say actually exactly how big the project is. We've had about 4,000 people who've actually been involved with the workshops, and then we've had thousands more that have already seen the work in the places that it was made. So for example at Arbea, we've had, I think, about 55,000 visitors have been and seen these wonderful identity pots, which were made with by the young people at Hadrian's Primary, Year 5, and then they were used as part of a Royal Shakespeare Company performance at the Northern Stage in Newcastle, where the school were appearing as part of this performance, and the prop they chose out of anything they could have picked was to take their pots with them, which I thought was actually amazing. So we know we're at least our 55,000 visitors there. But I've worked with Maryport Roman Museum, where we visited the fort, and we made a new altar for the museum, working with young people. They were rainbows, brownies, guides, and their leaders. At Tully House, working with an all-inclusive art group, we have thought about boundaries and walls, both Roman and modern, and we've then created a piece, a big montage that's based on that. At Birdoswald, we've played with words, and we've visited the site, and we've created these huge banners, which are going to be permanently on display at Birdoswald. Then Roman Army Museum, and at Vindolanda, we've looked at climate change, and we've considered reusing and recycling and repurposing, and we've created a great banner working with Holt Whistle Youth Club, and which very much gets that message over, and that's going to be on the gate beside the field for the fort that's currently under threat. And Vindolanda's getting a new gateway in their education room, and there we're going to have we've got lots of postcards inspired by the Vindolanda tablets, which are going to be, which the young people responded to by making their own versions of tablets, but about today, because they're today's frontier voices. Then we've looked at English Heritage's, some of their lesser known forts, like at Carabrough, and we used that and the idea of votive plaques and being thankful, looking at how the Romans were thankful with their altars and some of their beautiful metalwork. And then we too have created metal foil votive plaques, which are going to go after the exhibition to Chester's for permanent display there at the fort. Our two German partners were two very different models. We were incredibly lucky because we got to work with the Limestor at Dalkingen, which is a place where there was a big triumphal arch in Roman days. Now there is only the bottom part still there, but they have built a kind of fabric interpretation that gives you an idea of the scale. And as soon as I saw that, I thought this would make a fantastic screen for us to be able to show some work. So working with the teachers at Pertinger Academy or Gymnasium, we worked on a series of cutouts, which the art, it was very fortunate, the art and English teacher. So we kind of killed two birds with one stone there. She was absolutely fantastic to work with. And so the idea of cutouts came up. And so the young people created characters that were based on what they felt about borders. Some cases their own experiences. In other cases they were thinking laterally. And they've created this wonderful selection of big cutouts that are hanging there, which when the light falls on them projects shadows onto the screen behind. And certainly the photographs that we have from there are absolutely amazing, not least because we had worked together on Zoom, and so I had been talking to the young people and looking at their work and making suggestions for how they could improve it, and they've done tremendously well, I think, in the super work that they've done. The other German project was based in the town of Altmannstein, where the town are looking to encourage people to look at their Roman heritage, because there are things in the landscape, but just people don't know where to look and they don't know what they're seeing. And so they are creating an awareness through a big banner which asks questions, which is then hopefully going to get people out looking and trying to decide exactly why the Romans bent their border, for example, around the town. It could be for a number of reasons, or what something in particular might have been. So we had some very interesting sessions discussing the whole concept, how it could be developed, and then that's now been realised into a banner, which is part of the exhibition. Then, still got 3 more to go. At the Great North Museum, we did a huge installation, which is still up there, and we've brought 1 or 2 of the bits of it here to the Sill, but most of it's still there. And that was a mad 3 days workshops over half term in the summer term, where all the visitors were invited to make identity tags. And so on the trees there we have these lines which turn the trees into columns, and the columns are based on one of the altar designs that they have in the museum. And then we have all the tags that are hanging from them as well. So we're linking in the Roman gallery with all the real Roman artifacts from right the way along the wall. We are linking the past and the present visitors through this installation. And then the second last one is Segedunum. And there we made a huge mobile, which is past and present, linking the centurio stones, which are the stones that the centurions put into the wall with their name on them when they said, yep, the workmanship's good enough, I'm happy to pass this. So I suppose an early form of building control. And then on the other side of the stones, we have the view of today as seen through the eyes of Denbury Community Primary School. So there we have, along the length of the wall, an artwork from each place. But it didn't stop there, did it? Because we also got involved with 4 sites in Europe. We got involved with 2 in Holland and 2 in Germany. And so working with Zoom, so digitally, talking to people, working with them, running workshops that way. And also we had visits from the 2 Dutch projects who in fact brought us a boat. So we have a model of a boat which is exactly the sort that would have been coming up the River Tyne, bringing the olive oil and the wine and the grain to help to keep the soldiers and the civilian populations fed. So when they came, they brought us a boat. And then behind me, you can see we have a hanging which has been made of eco dye, and this represents the Roman fort on the edge of Leiden, where we've been swapping ideas with some other creative professionals as part of Frontier Voices over in Holland.
So Karen, how long is the exhibition going to take place at the Sill?
The exhibition will be up until the 31st of January, and then it will come down. Some of the work is going back to the groups that have made it, and some of the work then is going back to the partners for them to have it on permanent display. And so I worked on a similar project with the Roman cavalry in 2017, and it's quite interesting actually that all the work that was said to be permanent is definitely still there, but also some of the work that people said was temporary is still up too in the various places. So that's really rather nice. But the joyful thing about this is it's the reach. How many thousand people, you know, who have worked with us, who we've talked to about, the idea of living on a frontier, and what's it like now to live on a frontier? Yeah, how does the farmer feel about all the visitors? You know, how do the visitors feel about coming? And what about the weather? And what about the fantastic views? And one of the really great things about the Sill is that you can go outside, you can go up their walkway onto their sedum roof, and even if you're not very keen on walking, you can still get the feeling of the fantastic landscape that this building is part of. And of course, it's halfway along the wall as well. So I'm hoping that people will come both from the east and the west to come and to see some of the super work that the groups I've worked with have created.
Karen, it's a really far-reaching exhibition which contains a great deal of variety, and it's great that it's involved the community so much, both here and internationally, to get their own interpretations about what frontiers are about now and in the past. And people should come and visit it here at the Sill in Northumberland National Park. Karen, thank you very much for talking to Hexham TV.
Yeah, it's been lovely to talk to you.